Hi, Melinda.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm really sorry for the delay. The previous speaker took a little longer time due to the technical issue. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. No worries.
Welcome to the Global Virtual Summit 2026.
Thank you. And can you hear me?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Before going to start our session, I would like to introduce to our global audience. Parul Sharma is a neuroscience-driven leadership expert having the next generation of women leaders in the AI era through her platform, revived by Parul, with nearly 2 decades of global talent and transformation experience. She helps women translate ambition into influence, visibility, and the tech equity using frameworks like the 3M Power Rule and the impressive experience such as Revived Power Rooms and Revived Vault. Featured in HRM Asia, the Business Times, and the Entrepreneur Eco. Parul also advises boards, advocates for sustainability, and blends neuroscience, storytelling, and AI to foster inclusive, human-centered future ready to leadership. That was wonderful by you, Parul.
Thank you. Thank you, Melinda.
The stage
Would you
is
be
all
sharing the
yours.
screen? Thank you.
Yeah,
Would you be sharing the screen?
yeah.
Okay. Should I start or should I? I can't see this. I can't see the slides.
Yeah, just a second. Our technical team is ready. Can you see the slides?
No, I can't.
Just a second. Yeah, that's
Yes.
ready.
I think you might want to do a slideshow. Yeah.
Okay. You can carry on.
You might want to do a slideshow because these are quite small. So
Sorry?
you might want to go on a slideshow. These are, I think they're small. So you might want to go on slideshow.
We will do it. You can
Okay,
explain
so
it.
I'll let you know when to move the slide, yeah?
Okay.
All right. So good evening, everyone, and thank you to WIN Conferences for bringing together voices from across the world. I want to start with a question. Why do some incredibly capable women still hesitate at moments that matter the most? I believe it's not because they lack intelligence. I think it's not because they lack ambition, but because something subtle is happening inside the brain. Today, I want to explore how neuroscience helps us understand leadership in a completely different way. So, before we begin, let me share a little bit about myself. I've spent nearly 2 decades working in global HR and leadership roles across organizations, focusing on talent and transformation. Today, through my platform, Rewired by Parul, I explore how neuroscience and leadership intersect to help women become future ready in an AI shaping world. How do we make women leadership aspirational, influential, culturally powerful, and rooted in neuroscience? So that's what I do. And now today I had this opportunity to share with you all globally. I wanted to pick up this topic from potential to power. This session is really about understanding what sits between those two words. Most leadership conversation focus on skills, but what I have learned over the years is that the biggest shifts in leadership often happen inside the nervous system, that is inside our own brain. How we process pressure, how we interpret risk, how we respond to visibility. And when we understand that, leadership stops being mysterious and starts becoming, designable. Which brings me to our first question. Next slide, please. Why did I pick up neuroscience? For decades, leadership advice has focused on confidence, communication, or charisma. And those things matter, believe me, but they don't explain what many of us see in real workspaces. They don't explain why high-performing professionals sometimes hesitate before speaking. They don't explain why visibility suddenly becomes uncomfortable. And they certainly don't explain burnout that appears even when the workloads haven't dramatically increased. And neuroscience offers another lens. It helps us understand how threat, identity, and ambiguity influence our own behavior. So, leadership is not only behavioral, it is neurological. And this curiosity didn't come from theory, it came from an observation that made me deep dive into this subject. Next slide, please. So, why am I doing this? Why neuroscience and leadership? After nearly 2 decades, as I mentioned, global leadership roles, I began noticing a pattern. Some of the most capable women I worked with were not struggling with competence, they were struggling with something much harder to name: invisible cognition friction. Now, that's a very scientific term, so I'll explain it a bit. As responsibility increased, something interesting happened. External authority grew, but internal authority often became more fragile. People became more cautious, more self aware, sometimes more hesitant, despite knowing what needs to be done. And traditional coaching often focuses on behavior and never focuses on why and what is the reason it's happening. But behavior is downstream of how your brain interprets status, belonging, and risk. So I began studying how neuroscience shapes things like decision confidence, visibility, tolerance, and self resilience. Because if leadership is evolving, our understanding of the brain must evolve with it. How our brain used to work 5 years ago might not help us now in situation because we all are growing. And that brings us to a paradox. Next slide, please. I call it a leadership paradox. We are living in remarkable moment. Women today are more educated than ever, more represented in organizations, more connected globally, and yet certain patterns remain persistent. Confident gap, authority hesitation, burnout, which suggests something important. The issue is not capability. We all are capable. I believe everybody, every woman is capable. It's how individuals navigate social and strategic pressure inside modern organizations. And the brain plays a central role in that, believe me. To understand why, we need to understand how the brain actually operates. Next slide, please. Next slide, yes. The brain is often described as a prediction machine, right? We can assess, we can predict what's going to happen. It is constantly scanning the environment and asking questions like, am I safe here? Am I valued? Am I about to lose status? If we are sitting in a meeting, these are the questions that keep on coming to our mind, right? When environments feel predictable, the brain operates efficiently. But when ambiguity increases, the brain must work harder. Stress rises, cognitive bandwidth shrinks. So, when we talk about leadership challenges, we are often really talking about prediction error, the brain trying to interpret uncertain environments. Interestingly, some of the strongest signals the brain reacts to are not physical threats, they are the social ones. Next slide, please. Yes. So if you see the image, research shows that social rejection activates neural pathways similar to physical pain. So let's say whether you are a kid or whether you are in a conference room, wherever you are, if you feel that rejection socially, that, oh, looks like the room is not listening to me, or looks like people are not understanding, it brings the exact physical pain. It brings exact pain that we also have it physically when we are hurt. And in leadership context, social signals appear everywhere: being interrupted in a meeting, being overlooked for a project, being evaluated publicly. These moments may appear small on the surface, but the brain interprets them as threat signals, and the body reacts before logic has time to intervene, which explains why performance sometimes dips precisely in the moments where clarity is more required. But there's another dimension to it, which I call identity. Next slide, please. Now, I'm sure many of you would have heard about Andre Agassi, the great tennis player. So, in his memoir, Open Tennis Champion, Andre Agassi describes reaching the top of the sport while privately hating the game. That story illustrates something fascinating. External success does not automatically create internal alignment. It doesn't mean that you are great, you have a great role, you are at the director or a VP role, but you are content inside. It might not happen. When identity and performance diverge, the brain experiences tension. Over time, that tension reduces motivation and increase emotional fatigue, and that's what we call burnout. So burnout is not always the result of too much work. Sometimes it is the result of misalignment between who we are and what we are doing. Future ready leadership requires coherence. And interestingly, identity is not only psychological, it is embodied. Next slide, please. Now, try and understand it in a very simple way. Think about something very simple. Have you ever had a haircut that suddenly made you feel different, like really powerful, more confident, more visible, more yourself? That shift is not imaginary. Identity is deeply embodied, as I said. Changes in posture, appearance, physical cues influence how the brain perceives itself. Self perception shifts, others respond differently. The moment you start responding to your situation, I get a haircut, I look good, I go out, I'm more confident. The moment I feel confident, the world around me makes me feel confident. So the leadership presence, as I said, is not theatrical. It's biological. The way you think, the way you adapt, that's how your mind works, and that's how you reflect yourself. Which brings us how this plays in our everyday and work behavior. Next slide, please. Now, if we talk about our workday, many high performing women develop behaviors that help them navigate uncertainty. Preparing extensively, soften language, seeking consciousness. Everybody has their own behavior, right, to adapt to the situation. Delaying decisive statements. These behaviors are often interpreted as personality traits. Some women are called very aggressive, some are called very smart, some are very time management. Like you can call them whatever you want, but neuroscience suggests something different. They are safety strategies. The brain attempting to reduce social risk. So we prepare, we learn, we cramp our slides before going into a meeting because that makes us feel safe. If I know it, I'll be safe. Those are the things that go in our mind. And the brain is attempting to reduce the social risk. And once we recognize them, we realize something powerful. They are not fixed, they can be redesigned. Yes, you can train your brain. You can train your brain again and again. One structural factor that amplifies these behaviors is what I call the authority gap. Next slide, please. The authority gap appears when responsibility increases faster than decision ownership. People carry outcomes, but they don't always control the decisions behind those outcomes, right? Add visibility risk to that environment and cognitive fatigue begins to appear. Have we all experienced it at some point of time, right? People overthink, over prepare. We keep on learning, keep on preparing for those meetings, over prepare. Over time, this slows leadership momentum. And now another factor is transforming this environment even further. That is AI. These days, we just keep on hearing AI in everything. Companies are restructuring, departments are recreated, new systems are getting in place. So that's what I call AI, and that is the impact of AI. Next slide, please. And how is this AI actually bringing the change which is going to come? Next slide. AI is dramatically reducing information friction. We have too much information on our hands now. So the tasks that once required hours can now be done in minutes, sometimes in seconds. But something interesting happens when execution becomes easier. Judgment becomes more visible. Now, when the effort of putting hard work is reduced, people can see how can you strategize. You can be more visible. Your efforts are there, but your personality, your leadership is more visible now. So clarity becomes more visible, decision confidence becomes more visible, authority becomes the differentiating skill. Now, how much are you able to have that authority also defines how you represent yourself. Future ready leaders will need to reduce emotional leakage and increase cognitive precision. You have to make sure that you are not reflecting your emotional side, because the data is quite given now. So what is seen as a leader is your uh, emotional IQ. So AI should enhance thinking. It should not replace it. You should be able to present yourself with your thinking, with the data that you have used by using AI. This intersection of technology and leadership capability is something I refer to as equity, and that is a major part of Rewired by Parul, which brings me to the framework that connects these ideas. Next slide, please. Now, this is my rewired framework. Over time, I began translating these insights into simple framework: mind, mirror, and math. Mind focus on cognitive patterns, how we interpret stress and make decisions. Mirror focus on identity, how we see ourselves and how others perceive us. Map focuses on direction, translating identity into strategic action. Together, these elements help transform awareness into leadership mechanics. But awareness alone is not enough, right? We also need small daily practices. And what are those practices? What can make us different from others? Next slide, please. These are some simple resets that can dramatically change how brain responds to pressure. I would suggest everyone to try it once. I'm sure you'll find it effective. First, label the threat. Ask yourself, is this a skill challenge or is this a status threat response? Is it like there are other leaders where I feel small, or is that there really lack something? Second, regulate physiology. Slow breathing, posture shifts can calm the nervous system. I know it sounds very theoretical, but it really helps, trust me. Third, clarify decision rights. Ambiguity drains execution function. If you are having any doubts, if you are ambiguous, your executive function will reduce. Fourth, reduce cognitive load where possible. Include using AI tools. Stop spending too much of time in writing, researching this, and use AI. That is what it is for. AI is not replacing you unless you let it replace you. So you need to use the knowledge, the research coming from AI, and present it as a leader you are supposed to be. The brain often reacts to imagined threat as if it were real. Small adjustments here can create that powerful shift. And sometimes even 60 seconds can reset the brain. Trust me. And this is, I'm going to help you how you can do it. So maybe this is a tip you might want to write it down. Next slide, please. So before entering any meeting or any conversation which is important for you or the business, try doing this. Take a deep breath first before entering the room. The first thing you need to do is recall one recent strategic win. Think about something that you had won in the last 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever. But think about your winning part. That gives you confidence. Define one clear objective. Why am I going in this meeting? Do I need to get an answer? Do I need to deliver? Do I need to make sure that I put my foot down on something? You need to be clear. What is that one or two thing that you want to take it out from that meeting? And ask one decisive question early. These are the things that will help. These simple steps activate brain's execution function before emotional circuits take over. Your brain will be more calm, will be more confident, and will know why am I entering this room. Leadership begins in the nervous system, and that system is regulated. Clarity becomes easier, which leads to the pattern I've seen repeatedly. Next slide, please. Many professionals, reach a point where their progress slows. They are experienced, capable, and trusted, yet something about their authority signal remains inconsistent. Often the required shift is subtle: shorter statements, clearer decisions, fewer disclaimers, more strategic visibility. Once that cognitive shift occurs, trajectories often change. Neural rewiring precedes career rewiring, and looking ahead, leadership itself is evolving, if you understand that. Next slide, please. And when I say evolving, um, the next slide, please. The next decade will reward leaders who are neuroscience aware, digitally fluent, energy efficient, strategically visible, and leadership will move away from volume towards precision. and away from constant efforts towards more clarity. And those who understand their own cognitive architecture will have a significant advantage, which brings me to my closing thought. Last slide, please. I believe I want to leave you with one thought. Potential is rarely the problem. I believe everybody has the potential. Across organizations, we see extraordinary talent, intelligence, and ambition. What often holds people back is not capability, it is invisible interaction between the brain, the identity, and the ambition. We often hold people back in is not capability, it is the invisible interaction between the brain and the environment. When leaders understand how the brain processes threats, ambiguity, and status, something powerful really happens. Decisions become clearer, authority becomes more natural, energy becomes more sustainable. So the next decade of leadership will not simply reward the effort, which used to be, it will reward the cognitive clarity. If you do not have that judgment, if you do not have that authority, how no matter how much potential you have, you cannot be the leader that the organizations or the future businesses would want. So the real question is not whether you have a potential. The real question is, do you understand the system inside you that converts potential into power? So you have the potential, now add the tools. These are my contact details. It would be lovely to meet you online, offline, wherever possible. All the best, and may this next era of leadership be powerful for all of you. Thank you.
Hi, Parul. That was
Hi.
very informative session.
Thank you. Thank you, Melinda.
We really enjoyed your presentation. That was a great session. We gained a lot of knowledge from you. We have a few
I hope it was helpful to the listeners. It
yeah,
really.
yeah. We have
And
few
yes,
questions
people
from
can be in
audience.
touch with me. I'm uh, available on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, wherever if anybody wants to connect. I see some
Yeah,
comments.
sure.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Jose. I think I'm not sure how to pronounce, but yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
sure. We have a few questions from our audience.
Yes,
I would like to ask you one of them.
yeah.
Hmm, which brain functions are most important for future ready leadership?
So I mean, as I said, it's not about efforts anymore. The point is how you can use AI to make your job easier, more authoritative, and more clearer. How can the clarity that you have and the signal that you give to your teams or your businesses is what is going to play an important role in the future. So I think understanding AI, not from a perspective, nobody needs to be a an engineer or a coder. You need to understand how to use it, because I always believe that the data that you input in the system, whether it is through AI or systems or any softwares, is what you get out. So if we women do not kind of get involved in using AI and understanding AI, we will be the one who will be left behind, because we are just putting the data, and the data will be biased if the equal input is not there. So I think understanding AI is very important for all of us. And second, then how you present yourself, how you use that data and make sure that you have more authority, you speak up. So as I always say, people, women need to be more influential, we need to be more visible, we need to stand for each other. So the skills that are going to help are understanding AI, be more authoritative, and be more clear and precise. I think these are three important skills that should help the leaders. Sorry, you're on mute, Melinda.
We have one more question.
Yes.
How does the brain process trust and psychology safety in leadership environments?
So it's actually a very good question, because I keep saying this. So I also mentioned in one of my slides, the brain reacts in a way, it sees it as a threat. So when you see a threat, when you see a physical threat in front of you, let's say a very simple example, you see a lion or when you see a bear in front of you, how will your brain respond? The first reaction will be to run away from that situation. So the brain processes that threat, any threat, whether it is, if you are sitting on a table with 10 men and you are the only woman, you, before entering the room itself, you'll start feeling, oh my God, how am I going to, are they going to judge me? Are they going to make fun of me? Are they going to talk about me? The brain already starts thinking it as a threat. It doesn't know whether there are 10 men sitting or a lion sitting or a tiger sitting. It's for them, for brain, it's just the threat, right? And the first way, the way our amygdala responds, it sees as a threat and stop responding. So even if you are capable, even if you are potential, you will never be able to react to the situation. And that's why, if you remember, I gave those 3 tips. When you are entering the room, forget about who is inside the room. Think about, what is my objective? Why am I going inside? What am I going to present? And I should be 100% sure of what data I have. If I am not sure about my presentation or my slides or my data, I will never be confident. So, and I will enter the room with a threat, and that's how my brain will shut down. My amygdala will tell me, you have to run away from this situation. So, despite being capable, I will never be able to respond. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks for answering the questions. We have few more questions from our audience. I would
Okay.
like to share to your email.
Yes, please. I'll
You can
respond to that.
answer there.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Melinda. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye. Bye.